Sources of information. Generally, the forensic expert's initial efforts in any fraud examination are best spent identifying, collecting, and securing all possible relevant documents. Documents provide the foundation of the fraud examination case and help build the investigation structure. Documents can be evidence in establishing that a fraud was committed, in determining the nature and scope of the fraud, and in identifying the parties responsible. Internal sources will sometimes be the only resource for certain types of documents, such as accounting records, copies of canceled checks, or employee personnel files, unless the forensic expert has the subject's consent or a legal order to obtain those documents from other parties. In most fraud examinations, a large proportion of the documentary evidence will come from inside the organization at issue, but forensic experts should remember that external sources can also help provide information necessary to conduct a successful examination. External sources can be particularly crucial in helping investigators locate missing assets, locate witnesses and suspects, determine ownership in vendors, competitors, and other related parties, research the suspect's assets and financial condition, and document lifestyle and background information on suspects. All of this information will help an investigator build a case and will provide the basis for conducting interviews and obtaining confessions later in the investigation. When external documents are needed, forensic experts should consider accessing public and non-public records, commercial databases, the Internet, social media sites, media records, third-party sources, and other valuable sources. The forensic expert must be certain that information obtained is done so legally. Evidence obtained illegally may be excluded from use at trial, and it might give rise to liability. Local records. The specific information available in public records varies considerably by jurisdiction, but general types of records tend to be found at the local government agencies. Many of the local resources will be of use in fraud examinations. These records are often helpful for asset and person location, as well as for finding out who owns or is associated with a particular property, individual, or organization. The following are some local sources of records and the type of information they contain. Building inspector records. The following information is generally available through a municipal or regional building inspector's office: building permits showing the names of the applicants, the address of construction, the estimated costs, and the name of the builder or contractor. Blueprints and plans showing construction details that are often submitted with applications for building permits. Building inspector's reports containing information regarding compliance with construction specifications. Building permit records. If a business or individual constructs a new building or makes improvements to an existing building, there should be a building permit on file with the local building authority. In addition, before most businesses can open their doors, the local agencies might require thatthey possess certain permits. In many cases, the person applying for permits will be the owner or someone traceable to the owner. The local fire department might require permits ensuring that the business complies with the fire code. The city health department typically requires permits for restaurants or other businesses that serve food. Planning and zoning departments enforce regulations regarding the types of businesses and their locations. Health and fire department records. Another source of records that is common at the local level are health and fire department records. Many local health or fire departments conduct routine inspections of businesses for health and safety code or fire code violations. These inspection records might contain valuable information about the business, its operations, the employees, and the owners. Additionally, some local health records agencies maintain birth and death records. The content and availability of these records varies widely, but they might include the name of the deceased, address, sex, age, race, birthplace, birth date, death place, date and time of death, government identification number, close family members, occupational information, medical certificate, and coroner's certificate. If such records are not available locally, there might be a state, provincial or national health office that maintains them. Public school records. School systems sometimes maintain teachers' biographies, showing personal background, education, and former employment. They also might maintain student records, showing biographies in some school districts, grades, and disciplinary actions. Coroner's register, death register, deceased register. A county coroner's register generally contains the name or a description of the deceased, the date of inquest, if any property found on the deceased and its disposition, and the cause of death. Voter registration records. Voter registration records are not public in all jurisdictions, but if they are available, they might contain useful information. Usually, much of this information is withheld from the public for privacy purposes, but the records might contain a person's date of birth, mailing address, and political affiliation. Utility records. Depending on the location, utilities might be managed by the government agencies, private companies, or non-profit organizations. Although the recent trend has been to restrict access to utility records, check with the relevant utility management organization in the subject's area to see what, if any, information is available. Utility records might contain the contact information of the customer, even if that number is unlisted. In addition, be sure to check the names of friends or relatives.